Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Blake Morse, and I am here at the Darksiders II Hands-on event, and I'm talking with my man David. How you doing, buddy?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. So, dude, Darksiders 2, surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, rather, but you guys are coming back with a new Horseman and a new game, and it seems like you guys have just like taken what you had with the first Darksiders and just kind of exploded it with like some giant like embiggening gun.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, the cool thing about a sequel is you have a lot more of the formula worked out, so you're just able to do a lot more the second time around than you are the first time around.
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like you guys are definitely taking that to heart. I mean, the basic concept of the game is still there, but like, there's so much new stuff that it almost feels like an entirely new game.
Yeah, we wanted you to get like a true sequel that wasn't just, hey, it's the same game with some new levels and some new abilities. Like, it's an all new character, he's got all new skills and abilities, it's a whole new world, everything about it's new and different.
Yeah, awesome. Now, the first game got a lot of comparisons to like The Legend of Zelda and things like that because of the kind of the open world third person adventure environment that you guys created. But this time, it seems like you guys are taking like a little bit more of a traditional RPG route with a lot of the stuff that you've thrown into the game.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more RPG elements. I mean, that core like action adventure experience is still there. Everything you got from Darksiders, we just kind of layered the RPG stuff on top, so you get skills and loot and all kinds of cool stuff. Tons of NPCs to interact with and side quests and all that.
Yeah, like all the different like things I was finding along the way. It kind of reminded me of Diablo a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's that same mechanic you get in a lot of RPGs where it's like you always want to get cool new stuff so you can make your guy slightly better. It just makes killing stuff that more exciting.
Let's talk a little bit more in depth about some of the new features. Like, what do you think are some of like the key elements that like are really going to change the game for players?
I think just having more of that character progression stuff. You get a lot more control over how your character progresses in this game. I mean, there's a little bit of that in Darksiders 1. You could choose what moves you got and some of the abilities you got, but here you have way more diversity. I mean, you can be a guy that's much more about melee combat, and he's got really powerful weapons, and you buff your strength and stuff, or you can be a guy that's like a caster guy, summoning minions to fight with you, and so you just have a lot more control over how your character plays.
Awesome, dude. Dude, you have like ancient robots now too. Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, we had a few of them in Darksiders 1. Some people remember there was big construct guys that blocked off areas of the city. So you actually go to the world where they were created, and so you fight a lot more of them and that sort of thing.
When you mentioned the world that we're going to, now this is like the realm of the makers that we're checking out in this game, but like you're like in a whole different place than you were in the first Darksiders, right?
Yeah, there's like, we always knew, early on that there's like many worlds beyond Earth of all these fantasy worlds where angels and demons and all kinds of other types of beings and races live. So a lot more of that takes place. You see a lot more of that in this game than you did in the first one.
Awesome, man. Now let's talk about Death a little bit, like the new guy. Like what's going on with him?
So I mean, Death. We wanted to make a character that felt completely different from War. So War is all stoic and no nonsense, and Death's a lot more agile, ninja-like. Even the way he deals with people is more agile. The way he traverses is more agile. The way he fights is more agile.
So like you could almost think of War as like the by the books cop, and Death is like the streetwise, smooth talker.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we really wanted you to feel like you were playing a completely different character.
Yeah, but at the same time, it seems like you're still keeping that sense of badassness. Like they both kind of have that going for them, surprisingly, as horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, they're all horsemen, so they're all kick-ass in some way. They just go about it different ways.
Yeah. Now, obviously, like since the story arc it centers around the four horsemen of the apocalypse, like when you guys were working on the first one, like how much were you preparing for this sequel? Like obviously, like you never really know if you're going to get the sequel until the game comes out, but how much prep went into like the story for part 2 before you guys even got done with number 1?
Yeah, we prepared a little bit. I'm not going to lie and say we prepared a lot. I mean, we were a new studio working on a new IP. We weren't sure if we were even going to get to make a sequel, but definitely towards the end of the game in Darksiders 1, when stuff started coming together, we're probably going to make the sequel to this, and we started preparing for it a little more in advance at that point.
Nice. Now let's talk about that a little bit, because like the first Darksiders, you guys kind of like started it out of somebody's living room, like before you got bought up by THQ, and what are like the big differences between going from like that startup IP to working on the sequel?
I think the big difference is we just have a much better grasp of what the game is we're making. Like we knew roughly the kind of game we wanted to make for Darksiders 1, but there's a lot of devils in the details, they say. You don't get a true sense of how it's going to play out till you get towards wrapping it up. But with this one, we kind of went in already knowing what the game was about, so just made it a lot easier from that point of view.
Nice. Kind of just gave you a clearer path to get to like point B, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. You have something to compare it against. You're like, all right, here's what makes the franchise great. Let's not ruin that while we're working on this.
Nice, excellent. Well, the game's looking like super cool right now. So like the first game, you know, it was fairly long, but it seems like you guys, like the first world that we're checking out today takes about as much time to get through as like the first game, right?
Yeah, it's similar in size. I think the big difference is now there's a lot of side content. So not all that in that world is main path content. So there's several dungeons in that area that you don't even have to do. There's side quests for NPCs. So you have a lot more of secondary stuff you can do than in the first one.
Nice. So we're really going to be playing this game for a long time if we're going to want to 100% it and find like every little nuance.
That's the idea, yes.
Epic, dude. Well, like I said, it's looking really cool, man. I'm a big fan of the first one, so I'm really happy to see it get a sequel. When's this going to be launching?
June, end of June, something. I don't know the exact date. 26th, 27th.
Yeah, sometime in June. Just look on the internet.
I know when we have to finish. I don't know when it actually hits the shelves.
We're gonna put a big flashing sign below us right here. in the edit video, it'll just be flashing the date. Yeah,
cool.
We got you covered. Well, Dave, thanks so much for talking with us today, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Cheers.